Hi, and welcome to the February 15th meeting of the Beaver Dam Lake Protection and Rehabilitation District Resident Advisory Board. We're calling the meeting to order tonight at 6:32. So thank you and welcome. We're a small crew tonight, both in the building and it looks like online as well. So let's do a quick welcome, and just to let you know who's in the room with me here. I have Walter Blows, Chris Dunn, Jason Eunice. Alrighty, and I believe a couple of our board members are joining us a little bit later this evening, so we're going to see Larry Weinberg probably hop on. Fred Woodman will be joining us late, and Kevin if he possibly can. So we are at quorum here in the building. So welcome, and then happy Black History Month to our African-American residents. Happy Heart Health Month and happy belated Valentine's Day. So alrighty, let's get our February meeting started. Let's start with pledge.
The flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. All right. So do I have a motion to adopt the agenda? Okay, a second.
Aye.
All in favor? Aye.
Second.
All right. So let's jump into some administrative stuff. Just to kind of let you guys be aware, so Walter and I are meeting with DPW at least quarterly going forward. We had our first quarterly meeting with the DPW in January. So we participated with Eric Denega, who's the commissioner of DPW, and Travis Ewald, who is deputy commissioner, just to keep the channels open. We used to have a lot of communication while the completion of the dam project was in progress, and we want to continue with that communication back and forth so that we can try to get things expedited and make sure we keep Beaver Dam Lake on their radar. And let them know what's going on here. And it also, if they get resident feedback on their end, it allows them to share it with us as well. So we did have our first meeting of the year held this month. And we're going to talk about a couple of things that were covered in that meeting. The Salisbury Mills Fire Department has conducted 2 ice rescue drills here on the lake. So you probably saw, if you're on the Shore Drive side over at Reserve 2, they did one just a couple weekends ago. So we thank Salisbury Mills Fire Department for coming out and doing those ice rescues drills here on the lake so that they can keep our neighborhood safe in the event of an actual ice accident. Some website updates. So the Orange County Beaver Dam Lake website has received a little bit of a much needed update. So you'll find the new meeting time, the 6:30 meeting time, available on that website, as well as all of an accurate, up-to-date roll call of the board members and their roles and responsibilities. There's new lake health related data as it has been added following the last meeting. Folks were asking for the PRISM report, and there will be some CSLAP data. If it's not up already, it'll be up as soon as possible. We have sent it to them. So you can check out the website for some new and up-to-date information on lake health as well. Okay. You can also on the website find, just a plug here, all of the permit applications you can find on the website. You can also find years past of lake assessment reports. You can find the old vegetation report if you're interested in it. You can find maps, you can find address lists of the district. So it's a great resource. If you haven't checked it out, get on there and give it a look. Also the YouTube channel where you can find all of the past recordings of meetings. If you're interested in any of the things we're going to talk about today, we're going to avoid trying to go deep into the history of every single topic at every single meeting so that you guys aren't here with us for 2 hours, although we know you love to spend time with us. So we're gonna try to push you to the YouTube that is currently up to date with previous meetings. Let's talk about some dam inspections. So the most recent inspection took place in September of 2022. The report was received. It noted no significant changes and recommended to continue with the monitoring plan. So that is in regards to a pipe that kind of runs underneath of the dam. They had noticed a leak in that pipe a while back. If you want information on that, you can go to the previous meetings and check that out. But just to say that it was inspected, we received the report and there were no significant changes to that leak at this time. The date of the next dam inspection is planned for September of 2023. Annual inspection of embankment will occur and has already been included in the budget. Wally, did you want to talk about that at all, or is that just a?
That's just
general
that the DPW says regular inspections that they do as part of the ongoing maintenance of the dam, because Orange County technically owns the dam. So we actually put money in the budget for these inspections, so they'll be carrying that out. There's want me to cover the next 3 bullets?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, they're going to be carrying out the inspections. In addition, we actually had a contractor that was hired again there for 2023, Tectonics. They'll be carrying out the technical inspections for the lower level output line, which had the leak in it, and they help us with our ongoing technical questions on the dam. The other question we had to them, there are goosenecks at the top of the dam. They're designed there so if the level of the lake ever got up really that high, they fill up with water to allow the fuse gates to fall over. When we talked to the manufacturer back when they're building the dam, they're supposed to be inspected on a regular basis. So DPW has that on the radar screen to follow up, make sure that that's in their plan to do that. And then the only other thing relative to the inspection is we have 2 sluice gates, an 18-inch and a 24-inch. We had noted last winter that one of the operator for the fuse gate is high up on top of the dam and has a piece linkage that goes from the hand operator down to the valve itself. We had noted last year that line was actually damaged by the ice. It was bent. We just wanted them to confirm that the functionality of the valve was not impacted. So that's on them to still come through and look at that. So Travis had offered that he will absolutely get that done for us.
Okay, fantastic.
One question.
Answer.
Do they also like survey the property surrounding the dam itself too? So it's not just the dam structure, it's like that whole layout.
That's where you're looking for erosion of the land.
Right.
That's actually what they're looking for. So their biggest concern when they look at the leakage coming through the 24-inch line without getting too deep into it is the sediment inside, because if there was sediment coming up through, that implies that there is erosion underneath the fill of the dam. But right now there is no evidence of any sediment.
Okay.
And they also do inspect the embankments as well for we flagged a couple of questions to them in those areas.
Any other questions related to the dam inspection? Jason?
Okay, the only other thing I'll circle back on, just the budget, my understanding, Erica, the 2023 budget, we put it out there, it's approved, but it still needs to be legislative approved, is that correct?
The legislature, I believe, yes, it's up for approval by the
Okay.
legislature, but
anybody-
hasn't been approved yet.
Okay, if anybody goes onto the website looking for the 2023 approved budget, you're not going to find it yet because it hasn't been legislative approved yet. They never ever saw changes to it by them, but we can't really put it out there until it's finally approved.
And when it is approved, it will be up on our website as it has been in the past. Okay. And that budget, if you want to go see it, I believe it was June of last year that we looked at that budget. Right? Yep. Okay. Or that we proposed that budget. Okay. Lake Health Committee, Wally, do you want to talk about where pond and lake connection is regarding leak treatments and what the plan is?
Yep. Without covering everything that we covered in the last previous meetings, like Erica said, if you want to see, you can go back and look at the previous month's videos. But pond and lake connection, James Gorman is going to be our primary contact for our lake treatments this year. They did excellent, beyond excellent with us last year. To get the ball rolling this year, they had to submit for DEC application permits to the DEC. Which required DPW signatures on them. The signatures are complete and the applications have been submitted. The first planned inspection for the lake on the lake connection will come out, take a look, see inside the lake, to see in April timeframe to see what treatments, if any, they're going to be planning. But right now, the closest thing on the radar screen will be a herbicide treatment in the early May, if it's determined needed in the April inspection. But they're very, very responsive. They're always a phone call away if we have any questions from them. Excellent company to work with.
I agree. Gonna chat, do you want to keep going with the grant extension?
Yeah, plus the bullets underneath it. Yeah, bear with me 1 second. Okay, the current grant that we have expired in 2022. The DPW is still working the DEC to get the grant current status on it. My last update I heard is that we're most likely going to be getting the extension, but it's gonna, and there's a lot of unknowns with that. We had to submit a vendor's name to the DEC. That will be our primary interface, which was James Gorman. James needed to complete a DEC vendor questionnaire, which I understand was completed. After the grant is approved, we need to circle back and see, can we actually submit some of the 2022 expenses that we had and get used to utilize some of the grant money for that. The extension needs to give us adequate time, but what happens is that they approve it and then you have 3 months to use it and there's no time to use it. So we're hoping is that it's going to be a 2-year extension and it's going to be 2 years from the time we actually get it approved. That's what we're hoping it's going to be. Able to find out more when it's done and if it actually gets approved. And then the only other thing we need to finalize amongst ourselves and for the board is we need, did we already do this last month? Chris, did you and Jason say you're going to be the primary contacts for?
We have established, but I don't see why not.
Okay, so you and Jason could go the primary points of contact for running ahead on the grant when it's, if and when it's approved.
Which we're, and you know, and that's gonna lead us into the lake management, because once we get lake management set up, that's going to be, you know, we'll essentially get help through that, you know, to.
It dovetails right into it.
Yeah, to put it all together. And like you said, hopefully we get it, or we can get backlog. What we spent.
Yep. With that company, whatever company that will be very instrumental in helping us utilize that grant.
Yes, and can we jump into lake management quickly, or we have to that?
Yes.
Okay, yes, please. All right, so as we stated last meeting, we're in the process of trying to find a lake management company for more of a long term than a short term. A company that can help us testing, surveys of the lake, plant surveys, basic overall lake management from a you know, lake scientist point of view. As Erica said, if you'd like to go back in further detail, check out the YouTube about that and why we need that. We've been kind of talking about it, peppered through the last year or so. I know at least while I've been really around, and I know it's been spoken about before I was around, but we're in the drafting phase, and the request for the quote should be submitted definitely before the next meeting. And with that enters Fred. So yeah, so with lake management, that just a quick refresh that we had about last spring, we okayed a $30,000 allotment in the budget for that. So, but once again, if you want to check back, especially the last 2 meetings, we described that pretty well in the YouTube videos.
Thank you. And then I know that you mentioned there were no new updates regarding the Little Britain sewage issue.
More like a response back. So the only update, I guess, would be that Senator Scuba's office did actually contact me with a new contact, and they reached out last week to Orange County Department of Health just to verify if there has been a later survey of the Little Britain property. So again, please go check the YouTube videos for the history of that. But sewage system, excuse me, septic system at Little Britain School has been a question mark for us for the last, well, many years, really. It's been brought up by members of the board in the past, and whether or not it's contributing negatively to the lake. So that's something that we're after.
Sure. Thank you very much for following up with that. I can't believe we're talking about this here in February, but beach management. So I am proposing, as we are getting closer to the season for the beach, so there are several positions of lifeguards that we have, and it has to do with, we have one supervising lifeguard position, and then we have positions based on whether this is your first year with us or if you've been here over time. I would like to propose a $1 an hour raise for each lifeguard position to remain competitive with the surrounding areas. I did some research about the general lifeguard rates, and we did have enough applicants last year. I would like to see some of those folks come back next year. We've also connected with the Washingtonville school district varsity swim team since then. So it would be great if we could advertise for those positions sooner than later, so we're not into mid-July by the time we start the hiring process. So does that sound okay to recommend a $1 an hour raise for each position?
What's the current, what was the rate last year?
It depended upon the position
What's the
level.
The entry level. position?
The entry level position, and I don't have it off the top of my head right now.
Okay.
Um, but it's been historically, we've raised it $1 a year.
Okay, I was trying to figure out the percentage.
Yeah,
It
it was something, it was,
7%.
I think it was about $16 an hour, maybe a little bit more for an entry level.
Okay.
And then
So-
all the way up to between 20 and 21 for a supervising lifeguard.
So about 7% increase. Then.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. And then,
Wait, just to make sure we cover that. Are we voting as a board and say we're good with that?
yeah,
For $1?
can I hear a motion for a $1 an hour raise for each lifeguard
moved.
position? Second, Jason, all in favor? Aye. Okay. Okay, so we've had a question again about the issue of abandoned boats, which I know we've covered before in meetings. But Larry Weinberg did mention that he reached out to the town of New Windsor to find out if they would take some of the boats that these are beyond. These are definitely not seaworthy boats. They're almost like a public health hazard at some of the reserves. They are full of water. They are riddled with holes. They are not permitted.
They're planters.
They're planters. They've got
Yeah.
plants growing in them. They're
Mosquitoes.
collecting water. We have mosquito traps. Like it's awful. So those are the boats that we're discussing disposing of. So New Windsor told us they will not be picking them up. So we're trying to work with Cornwall right now to figure out a way to dispose of some of those boats. I'm a little bit confused about why New Windsor can't take those, considering they can take other trash bulk pickup, and we do pay.
Don't they have a monthly special pickup? No. They don't have the truck that comes around once a month to do the special, like a bed frame or something.
Pickup that I'm aware of, unless it's requested.
You can call and request it. If you're, for example, moving out of your house and you get bulk
Yeah.
pickup. then
Right,
you might do that.
basement plugs.
Yeah, that's, when we talked to Orange County about this DPW, Eric Denick specifically asked us to go to town of New Windsor because we pay a tax and a fee for garbage pickup for New Windsor and Cornwall, and they should be picking it up as refuse. So I'm like Eric, I'm very confused as to why they would say no. So I think we need to go back to town of Windsor to get more information about why they're saying no.
It's specific,
Steve.
yeah, right, specifically.
Yeah, what is it, Eric? I'm sorry, I didn't hear this. The first time I'm hearing this.
That's okay. So so what we have is a few boats on the reserves that are trash. They are absolutely destroyed, not seaworthy boats. We're looking to get rid of them and dispose of them. So I think it's to the tune of like 7 to 10
It's not huge.
canoes. It's not a
What
ton.
What are they made of, you know?
Fiberglass.
Fiberglass. Aluminum.
Okay.
Okay.
Are
so
they in
maybe-
one spot?
They can be.
That was our plan. We were going to first give everybody a chance to get their boats if they were theirs. Second part is then identify which boats are clearly trash, that there's no way they could ever be used. And they've been sitting around for a long time and they have no tags, no identification. So we identified them as trash. The next step was to put them in one collection point for New Windsor then, and then work with New Windsor to come pick them up.
Now, I would be, I think that maybe their concern is there are some people from the Cornwall side going to bring them to New Windsor, and or are they identified as New Windsor boats? I just want to.
Yeah, basically what we're going to do it. There are reserves physically located within the town of Windsor, and there are reserves physically located within the town of Cornwall. We planned on having each respective community pick those up that way.
If you get some together, if somebody can just, Eric, if you want, just send me a couple of pictures of them, and I'll take care of that on our end.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
no problem. Yeah,
Thank you,
Look
Steve.
at that. Look at that
no
efficiency,
problem.
guys. Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome.
You're the best. Okay. So that answers a months long back and forth. All right. Cornwall Social Club. So when we talk about Cornwall Social Club, what we're talking about is the old Pennings property across the street from Cumberland Farms. And we've talked about this on previous meetings. And there's an update. So the social club was on the Cornwall agenda for February. There will be a public hearing at Cornwall Central High School, which is located at 10 Dragon Drive in Cornwall on March 6th at 7 p.m. for site plan approval for the redevelopment of existing structures on the site to use as a restaurant with associated recreation space, a greenhouse, and retail on a 10.7 acre site located across the street from Cumberland Farms. Anyone who wishes to speak on this matter is invited to be present or submit written comments to the town building department via the email dhines, DHINES at cornwallny.gov until close of business on March 16th. So the public hearing meeting, if you want to attend Cornwall High School, March 6th, 7 o'clock. If you want to write it in, I'll put that email again in the chat in just a minute. They're accepting those emails until close of business March 16th. The map and all supporting documents are on file and may be inspected at the town clerk's office, Town Hall, 183 Main Street, during regular business hours. So if you want more information about what that business is trying to do, again, you can go watch previous YouTube videos where we talked about it. They're looking at, again, a restaurant, some retail, and a greenhouse space. And it is called Cornwall Social Club.
Okay, is that the only way to actually physically inspect the document?
What
You
I
have
was
to
about to-
go there.
yeah.
It's not available online.
I don't believe it's available online.
Is it like a skiff situation, you know, like, can you go and, can we go and record the document and?
I don't know.
Okay.
That would be.
Larry probably has as much information as anybody on this, so he really is following up well on it.
Because to keep it at the 10,000 foot level, our job is to ensure no impacts on the lake. So we just got to look at it from a lake impact. And I don't even believe we were offered the opportunity to review anything. Nothing was sent to us.
No.
So
In addition, I know there were concerns about the sewer system. So being the sewer system and storm runoff are the two areas that we were most focused on and that we're interested in learning more about, because we don't want to see a sewer system that we already have complications with
Become overrun.
and impact the lake. But you know, you also don't want it to impact. It sounds like a delightful business to have in the neighborhood too. So you know, striking that balance and protecting our lake being the priority. So if you have something that you want to communicate about that, again, that's the information for you. And then Larry Weinberg is continuing to follow up on that information as well. So you can reach out to bdlboard@gmail.com. If you have questions, I can connect you with him.
Okay, if I may.
Please.
Just so, and you know, we had spoken about it before, you know, the board, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, we don't have, like, we are not for, we are not against it. We just want to make sure that it's something that's going to go through, is going to be done the proper way. So we're not looking to have, we don't have an agenda essentially on it, and we're not saying that we don't want it, and we're not saying that we would like it. I think we all agree we would like the property to be used in a safe and, you know, beneficial way for the neighborhood. But it's not, we don't have a position against it, certainly. So please don't spread that.
Thank you. All right. So again, I'll put that email address in the chat box before the end of the meeting so that you have it also. Moving on to community events. So 104. So our events committee, which is separate from the board, has formed to plan some events around the community, because that was a big call out. Folks wanted to volunteer, but not in a board capacity, to do some things around the community. So Larry Weinberg, who's a board member, is also chairing the events committee, again, a separate initiative from the board. But they did create these kind of welcome wagon flyers for the community that were fantastic. 140 of them went out last month. Thanks to Chrissy Manna for creating the document, and Chrissy Wilger for printing and mailing them out. There has been much positive feedback, and if you have questions or suggestions, you can reach out to Larry Weinberg, who just walked in. And if you have event suggestions or want to participate in the events committee, he's your guy. Say hi, Larry.
Hi, folks.
Alrighty. And then I'm glad you're here.
Thanks.
Glad you're here. Welcome.
So
Um,
it happens to be on from the committee?
So. I think so.
No.
So with all of that said, and this might be new.
Coming in hot.
Coming in hot. This might be new info for
Okay.
you.
Good.
Okay, so I had some residents reach out to request a few different events happen throughout the community, and I wanted to communicate that with you so that you can connect and do your magic with them. But as far as the board is concerned, some of these things the group wants to use the community building for, and I just want to kind of run through a few of those and determine if they have board approval to do that so that they can go forward with planning, if in fact they're approved to do so. So the first is an Earth Day event. We have some folks interested in doing an Earth Day event and using the building, and that would be open to all residents.
Great.
So if that's something, do we have any?
Any idea what could be involved with it?
I do not yet.
I think,
But I think our only involvement with this is allowing them to use the facility. We're not getting involved with what they're doing at all. But it's a fair question you're asking, because if someone that's not politically correct, we gotta be careful that they're not.
yeah, I believe the thrust of the Earth Day event was more of a cleanup of our entire neighborhood.
It's like
We started
beautification.
out, here with a roll of garbage bags. People would come, get the garbage bags, go through specific areas, collect, and, just beautify. So that's my my basic understanding.
That's fine. If that's what it is, that's good. Beaver Dam Lake Pride Day.
Yes,
Yes.
that's a good way to put it.
Okay, so per the bylaws, I think it meets all of the requirements. All residents are invited to attend. It's residents and escorted guests only. No one is renting out the space. It's not for a private event. Does anybody have any opposition to an Earth Day event happening in our building?
I'm fine with the Earth Day, but this is circle back on that. It's not a private function. So we're good on that. It is a special event. Okay, so we're gonna follow that guidance. Based on that, let's make sure we're doing everything right. It's gonna be open to all residents, right? So there's no problems there. And then, did Eric Denega ever, as the lead, give you or any of us designated authority to be able to approve things?
Yes, we can approve special events here in the building.
Okay.
The only thing that we have to reach out to specific to the DPW around the legal department and risk management department is like external businesses. Like, for example, we had to work with DPW to establish all of the certifications necessary for the Sunday morning yoga class.
Right now, because there's a risk involved.
There's a risk
They get
involved and there's
insurances
some
and all that.
liability. So, but just approval of a special event, we are, as a board, allowed to do that.
Okay, so the only thing is make sure we document it with written approval by you as designee for the administrative head, Eric Denega.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so this one is the first time this one's come up since. No, in the past few years anyway, a craft fair here at the building. So this would be residents selling their products here at the building. The suggestion had been that folks could pay to be a vendor essentially through a donation that would go to Beaver Dam Lake, and it would be residents who would participate. This is a new one for me.
Like who we trying
You have to vet it.
attract in,
I think other residents.
Yeah.
just residents, yes, but if it's gonna be like.
Their cousins,
Some like
Betsy.
yard sale, bringing in other people,
Yeah.
and we have other people going to the desserts that aren't residents.
Mhm.
I think what we,
Well, we always want to stay in compliance with rules and regulations, to keep it simple. These events are allowed, provided they are sponsored by a district resident or responsible community organization. So in this particular case, a district resident has to sponsor each and every event. As far as bringing people in from the outside, it's okay, provided it's sponsored by a district resident.
I know that we had, as far as, general thoughts regarding this event, committee that we had, one of those things was tossed around. And it was a little bit of, let's get some tables set up outside. We didn't discuss anything regarding paying as a vendor. I don't particularly feel that that's a great idea. I think that if we could meld that idea into being, hey, we have people who have talent in this community. Does everybody want to get together, set up a table? We'll have access to anybody in the community who wants to come and support that. I don't feel that it would be a good prudent to charge somebody to have their own table. If we would go to the point where we'd say, all right, for every $10 you sell, you have the option to give us $1,
Like a suggested donation.
I would say,
Yeah.
it have to be suggested, yeah.
Are we set up to accept funds of any kind? I don't think we are.
We are set up to accept donations.
Oh, we are. And what would it go? Is there a fund that it would go toward, like a event fund? I know in the past we've had
Yeah.
a donation box.
So it would be an event fund, provided it was cash.
Right.
So as soon as it becomes a check, we have to give it to the DPW and then it goes into our O&M budget. So just throwing that out there too. So it's usually a suggested cash donation. But we can like work on the logistics of that.
So maybe I'm confused. The spring craft fair, is this kind of like something you can see in the town of Cornwall where vendors come out and set up tents in there?
I think this is a very small version of that, of just residents people who live here who want to share their craft tents, and then other residents that would be invited. Just occurring to me right now, and I don't know if this is crazy and I'm speaking out of turn here, but we've also had requests for the spring yard sale. So one possibility is to tie these two beautiful things together and have the spring yard sale and this parking lot be available, which I know we've done historically, and we have historically been able to charge for participation in the garage sale or the yard sale in order to make prints and in order to do some of the things that were involved in that to absorb costs. And since then, we have realized that like publishing about the yard sale in some of the local papers was not as effective as using like social media and things like that. So we've been able to do the yard sale for free the past few years, and we've had community volunteers put that together. Perhaps the spring craft fair and spring yard sale could happen together. And then offer our parking lot for those residents who want to specifically vend their crafts instead of their personal items.
Who is coordinating the event?
A resident had requested the spring craft fair. A separate resident requested the spring yard sale. So, and they requested it. They did not necessarily volunteer to run it. So that's the other piece of it. I will not be running either one of those events, but it does sound like we have some interest in some groups putting them on.
My recommendation on that though is let's avoid taking on anything that's not directly board work, and we'll support people with that kind of stuff, but somebody from the community has to step up to be the lead on that. They have to be the light power behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the greatest ideas, they amount to nothing if there's no action taken. And as a board member and as a board on the whole, it's not that we're not enthusiastic. It's just not our obligation to do this. And we already do donate a lot of time. So I'm happy to help with these things, but I can't be the one who's putting every event together. If you have a great idea, we love it. Bring it forward, but also have a plan in place where you can be involved to make it happen.
You'll actually, if you come up with the idea, you really got to be the lead on it.
So I think that there's a collection of people who were interested in doing so, but they didn't say that. So I just wanted to bring it up so that we can give a group approval if they want to move forward with doing that. Now, first of all, do we want to have a yard sale? That just in general, do we want to have another one of those?
Everybody loves it.
Okay.
I'm not going to be Debbie Downer. This is my experience, is that when you have the community yard sale, you're opening the doors to invite the surrounding communities into the area, and you end up with people utilizing the reserves for what they're not intended for. You get trash, you get debris, you get people driving around, you get people driving fast. It's you really got to think it through rather than just saying yes. From my point of view, I guess I don't really care one way or the other, but think about it from the perspective that you're drawing a lot of extra people into the area, when crime's going up and stuff like that. Do you really want that?
Yeah, too many eyes, too many open eyes in a spot where it's not, people aren't accustomed to being. It's not always, the best. So
You have a
much
comment?
greed.
So what are we saying? You don't want it?
Well,
my
I do have
2 cents.
some resident comments. There should be some control around traffic and totally agree. So one of the things that we can probably do is connect with
Stupid day.
local PD to do some stuff around traffic. But to your point of it could potentially encourage trespassing, I do see that too.
Yeah, during the last yard sale, there was at least 8 people that I asked to leave the reserve that were fishing on the reserves that were not residents. They actually had New Jersey plates on their van.
Yeah, and nothing's preventing residents from having, I mean, if all of this is taking place at residents' houses, there's really nothing for like that the board can do to prevent it from occurring if a community member wanted to put it together. If they're not asking to use our space or the reserves and a community member wanted to put together the yard sale. But I also I feel good about the fact that they asked us to be able to do it so that we can support it. So
Yeah, so like we have
Does it-
the people who want to do a women's club or like a ladies club, and that's all great. So the point is that if you have an idea and you want to put it to life and you just want to run it by us as a kind of official blessing of things, just to be sure that we're not breaking any of the important bylaws that we have to follow, then that's fine. But we don't have to approve something that you do. The point is that you won't have access to the building and all of the normal facilities that we have.
So historically for the yard sale, we've assisted, the board has assisted with map printing, creating the map. Resident has been responsible for collecting the address list and interfacing with residents interested in participating, which can be more demanding than you think when you have 50 homes that are interested, and all different types of folks interested, with a bunch of different opinions about how it should be run.
Sure.
So if there's a resident willing to take that on, does it make sense to advise that resident that in the listings that they put out and in the communication that they put out, maybe we include something about the reserve properties?
The reserve properties are off limits.
Yeah, and potentially we could, around the popular reserves, we could increase some signage and
One
things
thing
like
we
that.
can consider that I don't think it will fly, because I don't think we have the right to do it, and that's to literally rope off the reserves. But that would, I could see a resident complaining, you mean to tell me I can't use the reserve on that day,
But
unless we have the ability to physically close it.
yeah, my personal concern isn't just with that day, it's the carry-on activities that take place. People come through the community and say, wow, what a great lake. I knew this existed. And then for 6 to 8 weeks after that, I'm going around to all the different reserves saying, hey, you're not a resident, you can't really be fishing here. The policing activity really goes up a lot.
Yeah,
And he's put a lot of effort and money into putting fish in the lake for the residents. Now the other people come and catching them, putting them on the beach and kicking them and stuff, so.
okay, so it sounds like we got to think about this a little bit more, the yard sale component. Maybe, I mean, it's February. If folks are looking to do a spring yard sale, do we want to table this conversation and all think about it and then revisit in March? Does that make sense?
You guys put it to a vote if you want to do that.
No, I think tabling it and kind of looking back at it.
I'd love to accept some resident feedback too via
Yeah.
email on it, because I think it's one of those things that a lot of folks love,
Mhm.
but is it just the folks that are communicating loud that love it or not? So, because I have gotten a lot of what you've said. I've gotten a lot of issues around speeding and traffic and pulling people to the neighborhood. So let's table it till March, revisit the yard sale conversation, the small spring craft fair kind of conversation. How do we feel about that?
again, if we're going to, I don't think we should try to charge a fee for somebody to come and do an event here. I think the focus, if it is, you live in the community, you have something you're proud of that you want to share. If there's a nominal charge that you want to charge for something and you want to have a suggested donation, that's fine. Or if you want to have somebody come and just like, you know, my significant other, she does like her sticker journaling. So, you know, maybe she would want to have a table here, not to sell sticker journals, but to share her art and show people, hey, this is what I do for fun. Maybe you want to do it. And that can, you know, can build from there if somebody wants to get together and make a little group to do those things. But
Okay, so what if for the spring craft fair conversation, we could work for potentially a suggested donation that might be used toward a specific event. I'm thinking the Easter event that we usually have every year, where we've been able to do egg hunts and things like that at the building. And then certainly folks don't have to, it's a suggestion. And then we keep it to residents and escorted guests. Like this wouldn't be something that would be advertised outside the community.
I like that. That makes sense.
Do we like this?
yeah. Again, also, if you're talking about date wise, so I mean, in Easter, you're talking about a cold month. I don't know if people are gonna want to do a craft table outside in March. You know, so we might be putting the cart before the horse kind of thing. Usually, I think they do that event towards May.
Kind of where my head's going with all this is all evolving. And it's kind of cool that it's evolving, it's getting the public on. One of the things that we're missing is almost like not necessarily an application, but a review and approval process of submittals.
Yeah.
Like we're guessing at all these things that people
exactly
think
right,
recommended, but we don't have enough information to say yes or no.
Yeah, like the standards for how to use the reserve.
Exactly.
Or not to use the reserve.
Yep, is it-
Roads, yeah.
I volunteer to make that form.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm happy to make that form because I get requests all the time to use the building for different things that definitely are against the bylaws. So I am happy to volunteer to make that form. Okay, so we will move forward with that. Diane also said, if it's only for residents, fine, craft sellers as well as buyers. Okay, so it sounds like folks are interested in keeping it to our community and not having a ton of folks come in. We're tabling the yard sale. So what I'll do is oh my gosh, I'll put an email out and ask for folks' opinion about the yard sale. Or maybe I'll put out like a poll or something. Stay tuned. I want resident input about what we're gonna do about the yard sale, if that's okay.
Yeah, it is a community thing. You're directly impacting all residents. And
Yeah.
not everybody's totally in favor of that, so.
Yeah, okay. Stay tuned. The last request that for the books, I'm sorry, for the space here is a women's book club. And I would liken this to like a senior coffee hour or something like that. It's residents of Beaver Dam Lake, potentially escorted guests. I don't feel like it's going to be a big group. I'm thinking it's going to be about monthly. And we have a resident interested in facilitating it and running it.
And it's just to logistically work through the words. How do we rationalize that that's open to all residents when it's called a women's book club?
Well, I think that we've had other events that have been, for example, the Girl Scouts or a senior coffee time or, you know, something of that nature. I don't think it's necessarily like intentionally excluding of folks. But I don't personally see a problem with women wanting to share a space and the exclusion of other folks.
If we can do yoga, I think we can do both.
Yeah, if that's okay. I mean, we have no competing groups. Yeah, we have no competing groups at that time. It's a group of women that want to have a book club. I'm comfortable with it. I would advocate for the building to be used for that.
And just one more time, why wouldn't they be open to everybody?
Because it's the design of the club they prefer to.
I'm getting wrapped around the axle on it.
I think you are. Yeah, I think women just want a space where they can share ideas, but exclusively, but it is for the women of Beaver Dam Lake. And I think the intent of the bylaws was not to prevent such things from occurring. Like, for example, if there was a senior coffee time, I would be like, I don't understand why my 8-year-old can't come and have coffee. Right? So I think we have space for
Yeah, I mean,
things
I
like
hope
that.
that everybody's playing to their right audience, you know, so if it's,
Just be careful, it doesn't grow out of control.
All right, so if the women get out of control,
Yeah, don't start.
No alcohol.
yeah, no, I understand, yeah. I think
I'm gonna have a guy tattoo plug her every month.
you want to have a guy tattoo club here every month, well, you're gonna have to fill out some forms for the DPW, because the yoga lady had to jump through some hoops. So Christina said, oh goodness, Wally, I think it's a great idea for every, not every event is for everybody, senior kids, families, etc. Yeah. All righty. All in favor of the women's book club? Okay, aye, beautiful. Okay, and couple of issues that have been raised but are not in the board's purview, and this one keeps coming up over and over. I'm sorry, did I miss something? You were agreeing with Wally?
Verbiage should be inclusive
Yeah, that's my opinion. It's not.
Women and men.
based on the verbiage. I know that I'm against the
Okay.
women's book club, but the verbiage for using the public space is for it to be inclusive.
Okay. So let's go back. So
I'm good
So are we
with
not-
having a dedicated women's book club.
Revise the motion.
okay,
I'll say we should revise the motion, if we're gonna make it non-inclusive, then the motion needs to be changed.
The person running this, how do they feel about it being inclusive, or do they really want it to be? a
they
women's book club?
specifically want it to be a women's club. They want it to be. They want it to be a safe place for women.
Yeah, you know, say it's a
communicate with
touchy
one another.
subject that they don't want, you know, multiple gender feedback about it. I think that people are entitled to that space.
Do you go to yoga?
Well, I think I would go to yoga.
Yoga here, and it was co-ed at that time.
I agree with you. That's no problem.
Yeah.
Someone feel very comfortable with guys being on yoga, that's why. I said that.
So. Better to be inclusive, men probably won't come anyway.
Yeah, I can't see anyone, I think we're being overly careful. I can't see anyone actually complaining.
I mean, we do have approval. We do have approval for a
It's
Girl
like
Scout
suggested.
group, and I would be very uncomfortable if
Yeah.
a gentleman showed up to it.
Right.
I think that the intent of the bylaw,
Space. for-
yeah, I'm using this space for it.
Yeah.
And
it's
this
not-
board approved of it, and the certificate of
Yeah, 'cause you're not-
insurance was obtained. We've also approved, this board has approved Boy Scout use of this space as well, if all of the certificates. Okay. So are you, so I just want to be really clear, Jason, you are
Abstaining.
abstaining.
Yeah, again, our job is to ensure enforcement of the rules and regulation as a board. There are two things. There are private functions and there are special events.
Right.
Special events are open to everybody. Private functions are not allowed. So, and just get wrapped around the axle on that part of it.
Okay.
And the clause needs to be updated into. the
It does.
bylaws.
Well, that's the other part now too. Keep in mind that these are the laws.
Yeah.
And I actually have the action to revise this, and I will revise that step when we get there.
I'm making a motion to allow the women's book club to exist as a women's book club.
I would second it.
Well, me as well.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I dare.
Oh.
No problem.
All opposed,
I-
abstain.
Word state. 4 to 1 to 1.
Staring.
It's the majority rule, so.
Well, I didn't hear your answer. So you said aye. I hear you, that's why I was listening to you. Okay.
I don't- I'm-
Debate.
If everybody's silent here and we're so
Okay.
conflicted, I'm waiting for the problem. I think we're being a little too like.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
It's all, Robert's rule of parliamentary law says Majority vote, you've got 4 votes, move forward.
Okay,
It's Beaver Dam Lake, it's not state senate, and if somebody wants to complain, then let's hear it, you know?
all right,
Want to keep it inclusive, keep it inclusive.
okay.
We're not gonna turn you away.
Well, what did I just do to a Zoom? Here we go. Okay,
Well, I know it's.
holy moly. All right, slightly easier issue that has been raised and continue to gets raised, but it's not in the board's purview, but I just want to make it clear because it was communicated from a resident. They requested a dog park at the Chestnut Street Park. We don't have any say over the Chestnut Street Park. The board is responsible for the reserve properties and the lake itself. So that being said, we've had conversations in the past about allowing dogs on the reserves. And I would say we're still accepting feedback via email if you're interested in that, unless you have anything to add.
Nope, we talked it through with the DPW already. As far as the dog park, that is totally outside of our review.
Chris, you had talked with the town about that park already.
Yeah, so I was gonna mention, like, as a resident, I did speak to Supervisor Myers about 5 months ago.
Revamps.
And about going there simply just to improve the place yet again, possibly because it's a parking issue, right? There's no real parking. The grade is terrible coming from Chestnut. There's no parking on Hickory. And one of the things that Supervisor Myers said that he would look into having parking inside of the park, because there is a great deal of space there. Does that require trees being moved?
Yeah.
The last thing that he said to me was, we'll talk in the future, and I will be, I guess, bringing the town engineers in on it to have conversations, and that is where it was left. It was conversations with engineers and to discuss possibilities for the park. And that was just a resident conversation that I had, not as a board member conversation.
Okay. So if you are someone who wants to advocate for issues at the park or questions about the park, who do you contact?
It sounded like the recreation department and or town hall directly.
Of New Windsor.
Of New Windsor,
Of New Windsor.
town clerk, and since it's already something that is in the scope of supervisor, you know, you can go to the town hall and actually put in a memo to request to bring this up, and you'll get contacted. Maybe we'll call you back.
Yeah, there's so many great new things out there for parks these days. There's people who are, doing little skateboard additional, like half pipes or whatever you call it. There are people, all kinds of great things that can be done. So although it's not something that we are generally going to be involved in, the idea is that as a resident of the community, although I don't want a dog park for myself, I would love it for everybody else. Because I know it, when we had an active dog, we just would love to take the dog to the dog park. So if you think that there's something great to come of it, bring that forwards to the New Windsor Parks and Recreation. And the louder you are, and the more people who say something, the more quick you'll see action on it.
We have a dog park in New Windsor. I'm sure everybody knows that, right?
You want to share where it is?
Yeah, it's at on Union Avenue at San Giacomo Park. In the back of, you'll see the tennis courts right on Union Avenue, right across from Heritage Junior High. In the back there, it's got
That's
two,
like-
like a small dog and a large dog. I know it's not around the corner from you folks, but Cornwall is the same thing. They have one dog park, outside of town, and it gets pretty busy. So
Washingtonville built one right in our backyard, but they charge $100 and you have to be a resident.
Oh, no.
It's right around the corner.
I think there's
Yeah,
a
we-
non-resident fee,
Is
but
there?
it's even more expensive.
Yeah.
here.
we charge, and there's a resident and non-resident fee too. You get a key, and it's actually pretty. You should go check it out. If you know anybody, direct them, point them there. They go to the town clerk's office in New Windsor. They can sign up for it. And
Okay, great. So I will let folks know that they have an option and that Chestnut Street Park is not run by the boards. They can contact if they have any questions about that park, not just the dog park, but I've had other questions raised about equipment and things like that at that park. So thank you. I appreciate that. And That's all I've got on the agenda. Do we have board member comments, questions, additions?
Did we bring up anything on this Cornwall social?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, for the junk boats, the ones that are aluminum and damaged, we need to just take them through the scrapyard to dispose of them.
You have to call the scrap, oh, you mean like the feasibility of a yard actually taking a boat? I mean, like, that, I would call the scrap yard and say that they accept. Because some will say yes, some will say, no, we don't need it. There's been times I've asked, do you need brake rotors right now? And they say no. And sometimes they say, yeah, bring me all your brake rotors.
Yeah. Larry, you were not here, unfortunately, when we covered that part of the boats. What exactly did Town New Windsor say to you why there was a no?
Well, I called a couple of times and I did not receive a call back. So then I called and ended up getting, leaving a voicemail for, I believe he would be the superintendent or, the person who was responsible for the overall sanitation and highway department. And, while we didn't have a very lengthy discussion, he was pretty quick to say, well, we're really not gonna be coming to pick these up.
Even though we pay taxes and we pay fees as a.
I didn't go toe to toe with him after I got the fairly quick rejection.
So he didn't give you any actual reasons, and it just was a no.
No real quality detail there, other than the fact that I figured it would be something that would be easy for them to do and beneficial for the whole community.
Yeah, this does come around. Orange County actually, when we proposed it to them, they were gonna help get rid of them, but they said, talk to the Town of New Windsor, because you pay fees for garbage and they should pick them up. That shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, so I've audibled over to the Cornwall sanitation, as we do have reserves on the Cornwall side. And while I didn't get a hard no, I did get a, we'll see what we can do and I'll get back to you. So I have to follow up on that, as that was only about 1 week ago, and I have not been able to touch back.
Are we pretty much beyond the stage of worried about liabilities at all at this point? We've given enough notification, we've checked enough time where someone's not gonna come back and say you've stolen my boat.
I mean, we're talking about crafts that are just destroyed.
I totally agree.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody,
totally agree with
if we have a photograph of somebody on a boat with a plant growing out of the center of it, and they're gonna come back, and say, gee, you ruined my boat. I mean, I'll go toe to toe with them anytime on that, so the fact is there's junk out there.
And we've had a lot of conversations with DPW about that at this point too. So I think that it's well covered with these particular boats. It's not like we're taking a seaworthy boat that just doesn't have a sticker on it and getting rid of it. But to your original question, Jason, I don't know if we were to do that and then monies were to be gained from it. Like, I'm not sure if we could do that or not. Like what we would,
Donation.
how that would work. I don't know. That's my,
Yeah, so restricted.
I don't
as
know.
far
I think that would be a
transfer of
DPW question, but also let's figure out what the boats are
Yeah,
made of.
would we be just happy enough to get rid of them?
Yeah.
Get a scrap guy to come, he can make the money on it, he wasted the gas to come over here, get him out of here. And then if we have some plastic ones, and we just are fed up enough, then we'll just take them, we can buzz saw them up and cut them up and put them into garbage
So
bags.
Steve
Yeah,
actually,
if, Eric, like I said, if you have any metal ones, let me know. I'll have them gone tomorrow. I know somebody will get rid of them. And like the gentleman said, if you have canoes that need to be, if you cut them up in pieces, I'll get them taken care of. I don't want you to beat yourself up over it. We'll take care of it.
Yeah, I've been working on this for like a year.
Steve actually wants to
And
tell
it's
you.
Oh, okay.
been multi-year.
And it's been discussed for a
Yeah.
long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Steve.
any other board member
No,
comments,
it's-
questions? No, you done? Okay. Resident comments, questions in the chat box. Scrap guys won't usually come pick up. All right, we're gonna work with Steve. Seeing no other resident concerns in the chat box. Going once, going twice. Motion to adjourn.
All right.
All in favor? Aye. All right, have a good night,
Thank
guys.
you. Good night.
Hasta la vista, baby.
And that's it.